Well, hello, hello. Here we go. I mean, can anybody really believe like the climate of what the heck is going on? I mean, they're gonna push this crap no matter what. Now, are they not? That is disturbing. Wasn't even really sure why, but I figured I'd do this. Put this on live and see what the heck. See if we got any bait. So what is funny is I bought some stuff for the 4th of July and bought this like radio system that has a freaking microphone, has 100 hours of battery life. I was thinking about going and doing maybe a little Trump or flat earth rally. Thought it'd be kind of funny. Not even a rally, just put up a damn sign that says prove me wrong. I think that would be kind of funny. So I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling, waiting for at least somebody to get on here. It doesn't always show me when people show up, so if you've shown up and you're on here, give a thumbs up or just say something so I know, because then I will actually start this. It is just flat out amazing of the arrogance that people have. And they're so scared to ever admit that they were wrong that they will just continue to go upon this pathetic game of being a pawn. It's disturbing. It scares me for the future when people are that arrogant and that stupid to continue to allow themselves to just be like that. I just don't get it. So it will be what it will be, but they're not winning. They sure in the hell act like they are because of all the crap that they pull out and that they own all the media and this and that. But I mean, you even look at whatever polls that you want to look at. Donald Trump went up 5%, 5 or 6%, maybe even 7 in the past 2 weeks just because of the fake stuff that like Time Magazine and everybody did, trying to act like he did something worse when everybody remembers that, our past presidents did this and that. I mean, they're literally pushing. And that, at its own rate kind of scares me too, because it's like, we all know the Rothschilds, backed every war and backed everything. You almost wonder, are they still backing this? And I mean, you got to imagine like they've already done all this, that they thought that we'd have race riots. They thought that we'd have riots in the street so the UN could come in, but that still never happened. It's almost like you sitting there, they're wondering, they keep poking the bear and they're like, man, we keep poking it thinking this will work, that'll work. And you almost wonder though, I mean, they got to be pretty freaking smart, you would imagine, but you keep freaking having incest and having same bloodlines making babies. I don't think that's going to make anybody smarter, so who knows what or why. But these people are just insane. They're the most disturbing sick people in the world. You know what, I'm just going to go with this. There we go. I love you all.
Good evening. Welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Progressives have always been angry. Indignation is their signature emotion. But a year and a half into the Trump administration, their rage has finally consumed them. The left is spinning completely out of control. Just 2 weeks ago, only a few fringe figures called for abolishing border enforcement. Now that's a mainstream view in the Democratic Party. Watch.
ICE has strayed so far from its mission. It's supposed to be here to keep Americans safe, but what it's...
Okay. Are you joking? Like, I know I haven't even let her talk yet. But these people are this idiotic and insane. You're going to hear what she has to say. They've gone so far. They did a lot worse things under the last presidents than what is going on now. It's disturbing what's
turned into is frankly a terrorist organization of its own.
We need to rebuild our immigration system from top to bottom, starting
Okay,
by
all right. I'm sorry. I know I just can't handle this. Okay, so what is so disturbing about all of this crap is all of the crap that they're coming down upon us for that they donate money to stop is the shit that they do. I mean, look, the guy that I made a video, a couple days back about the guy that was freaking. He was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. He is in the organization of saving children and stopping sex trafficking and all this crap. And literally, they caught him trying to have sex with a 2-year-old child and admitting that he had many children. So, these people actually use the things that they are doing against children and against other people. They are the ones that act like they're fighting against it. So when they're called out for it, they can be like, whoa, 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 look what I do for society.
ICE with something that reflects our morality.
Look at ICE. What a group of incompetents. At this point, they're focused more on toddlers than terrorists.
You should get rid of it, start over, reimagine it, and build something that actually works.
Kirsten Gillibrand and Elizabeth Warren are thinking strongly about running for president. They don't take positions lightly. If they're calling for the end of national borders, and that's exactly what they're calling for, they think their party is with them, and they may be right. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is definitely with them. She's the soon-to-be congresswoman from New York's 14th district. She's a self-identified democratic socialist. What does that mean exactly? Well, last week, the New York Democratic Socialists of America issued a statement of their beliefs. Quote, abolish profit, abolish prisons, abolish cash bail, abolish borders. Abolishing prisons in a country with thousands of murders every year? What would that look like? Well, you probably didn't stick around to find out. You'd be long gone, along with every other normal, productive person in what was once America, refugees from your own country. Something like that happened in Venezuela. There are people in our country working to make it happen here. And suddenly some of them are prominent in the Democratic Party. This is getting scary. If you pay attention, it will scare you. You'd think our so-called intellectual leaders would be working to moderate rhetoric like this and guide it in a more responsible direction, but they're not. Instead, those leaders are adding to the cycle of extremism. Consider the reaction to the retirement of Justice Anthony Kennedy. Left-wing law professors at prominent schools are calling for Democrats to expand the number of seats on the Supreme Court and pack it with liberals for a permanent majority. Harvard Law lecturer Ian Samuel wrote that a Supreme Court with 10 liberals and only 5 conservatives would actually be, quote, incredibly generous to the Republicans. Fordham Law professor Jed Sugarman agreed with that. If this happened, of course, the court's legitimacy would evaporate overnight. They don't care. They would have power forever, and that's their goal, their only goal. Of course, Republicans could pack the Supreme Court right now, tonight. They have the power. But everyone knows they won't do that. Only the left is embracing extremism right now. Progressive mobs threaten public figures. Progressive leaders cheer them on. Here's Washington Post writer Jennifer Rubin explaining on MSNBC that Sarah Sanders deserves a, quote, life sentence of harassment from the left for the crime of working for Donald Trump. Watch.
My God.
Sarah Huckabee has no right to live a life of no fuss, no muss after lying to the press, after inciting against the press.
Well, that's what I feel about you for Barack
These people should be made
Obama.
uncomfortable, and I think that's a life sentence, frankly.
She has no right to live a normal life because she disagrees with me. Well, there's nothing liberal about language like that. It is pure authoritarianism. A remarkable interview with former President Bill Clinton. For decades, as you watched, both Clintons had license to do essentially whatever they wanted to do, and they did. Fellow Democrats wouldn't criticize them, and neither would their obedient toadies in the media. The Clintons ran the Democratic Party, so they were too important to be held accountable. That has changed. Bill Clinton is now politically irrelevant, so there's no longer any reason to protect him. The media smell blood. Here, for example, is what happened when Bill Clinton visited the Today Show this morning to sell a new book. The conversation went directly to Monica Lewinsky. Watch.
But you didn't apologize to her.
I have not talked to her.
Do you feel like
I'm a working mom of 2 teenagers. I'm a small business owner who has created jobs for other women and supported many women.
her an apology?
No, I do. I do not. I've never talked to her, but I did say publicly on more than one occasion that I was sorry.
Ouch. He almost lost it, then sort of recovered. Then he went on
Yeah,
to
how many
explain
times
that even
did
though Monica Lewinsky's life was completely
I
destroyed by that experience, while he himself went on to become the single richest former president in history,
wow,
he
imagine
somehow
that.
is the real victim here. Watch this.
Do you think differently or feel more responsibility?
No, I felt terrible then. Nobody believes that I got out of that for free. I left the White House $16 million in debt.
But
I've
you're
had
the
nothing but
richest.
women leaders in my office since I left. You are giving one side and omitting facts.
Mr. President, I'm not trying to.
But you're the richest
You think
president.
President Kennedy should have resigned?
You're still rich. Or
Do
than
you believe President
it's
Johnson
not.
should resign? Someone should ask you these questions because of the way you formulate the questions.
Ouch, it went on like that. It was pathetic. That's pretty much it for Bill Clinton's life as a public figure. It is over. But what do the rest of us learn from watching all of this? Well, if you're a progressive leader, the lesson probably is not don't abuse women or even treat the people around you as you would like to be treated. Relatively few elected Democrats could live up to those standards. No, the question is this: don't lose power. As long as you are useful to the left, nothing you do will be held against you. You could literally, I don't know, drive off a bridge and kill a woman in a drunk driving accident and still remain the most admired Democratic senator. But grow old and irrelevant. Next thing you know, they'll be asking you nasty questions about your impeachment. Best-selling author Mark Stein has never been impeached, and at this point, it seems frankly unlikely that he will be. But he joins us anyway tonight. Mark, it's great to see you.
Hey, good to see you too, Tucker.
So all of a sudden, Bill Clinton, for many years protected by the press, is up for grabs. What is this?
Well, I think
Left
there's
eating
a sense,
itself.
as you said, that he is now disposable. But also at a certain level, I do think there's a great shame at what the rationale for Clintonism in the 90s loosed in the following 20 years. The most interesting moment to me, most horrifying moment actually, and the most pathetic and self-serving moment in this Today Show interview comes when he pleads in mitigation. And it's interesting to look at his facial expression as he says this, that I had a sexual harassment policy as governor in the 1980s. In other words, that's the lesson the Democrats took from this, that as long as you struck the right attitudes in public, you could do what you... I mean, try this in any other aspect of your life. Hey, bud, you're double parked. Oh, it's okay, officer. I voted for the municipal parking lot expansion bill in 1973. That's basically the argument that Clinton is making here. Because he passed the sexual harassment bill in the 1980s, because he signed one as governor, he's allowed to actually assault women or enter into degrading relationships, supposedly consensual relationships that ruined, in the case of Monica Lewinsky, a young woman's life. And actually, that's the rationale that Harvey Weinstein and Schneiderman, the New York Attorney General, and all these others, and John Conyers, the big Democrat big shot who was hosting trouserless meetings in his congressional office, they're all actually following that Clinton rationale, that because I have the right attitudes in public, I can do what I like in private.
Harvey Weinstein tried, remember, his first defense was, well, I love abortion, so back off, leave me alone.
Right.
I wonder, though, so Clinton, I confess I feel a little sorry for Bill Clinton because in my view, this is really about the Democratic Party changing and rejecting its past. But I also wonder, as long as we're going to have a reckoning with Clinton over his behavior, when do we get the reckoning with all of his defenders in the media? The Washington Post reporter who said that she would get on her knees for him for keeping abortion legal, the feminist leaders who attacked Monica Lewinsky in effect and did.
It's all about women are always heroes and men are always evil. We hear about man spreading. Oh, men they open their legs too wide on the train. Every time I'm on the train, the woman next to me has her purses, plural, on the seat next to her because they spend 3 months' salary on their fucking handbags. They don't want to put it down on the dirty New York City ground.
There's no way I was gonna skip through that commercial. Oh man.
dismiss the rape allegations. When do they get their time under the spotlight for what they did?
Yeah, and I think there's also other ones too. There were ones who didn't attack Monica, but I remember, for example, being attacked in Canada by a feminist columnist who said, "You're wrong about Monica. Monica isn't a victim here. She's going to make millions of dollars. She has had a miserable 20 years. Nothing she's done. She was essentially ruined and tossed aside
you
by
see her in
Bill
politics
Clinton.
anymore? No.
And as we saw in this interview, he thinks that he is the victim here. And he's out, by the way. He's on a book tour peddling this novel he supposedly quotes.
Don't forget the $500,000 got paid to go give a speech in Russia.
Patterson, and is supposedly, his most ambitious work of fiction since his deposition in the Paula Jones case. This Clinton is getting $1 bazillion to put his name to this ludicrous novel. And Monica Lewinsky is someone who has never had a fulfilled career, never had a fulfilled family life. And that doesn't matter because the Clintons just discard people and move on to the next bit of human debris.
Yeah, and the media goes along with it, of course. Mark Stein, thank you for that. It was great to see you.
Thanks a lot, Tucker.
Joining us now, Richard Goodstein, who served as an advisor to President Clinton, and he joins us in the studio. So before I ask about the sexual harassment stuff, I want to play a clip from the former president on CBS this morning, also on this book tour, which I hope goes on forever, in which he addresses the great press coverage that Barack Obama got. And here's how he explained that. Watch.
They did treat him differently than other Democrats and Republicans. They liked him. They liked having the first African-American president, and he was a good president.
Oh, so Obama got special treatment because he was black. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think he's talking about two different things there. One, it's stuck in his craw that Obama got better treatment than his wife did when they two ran against each other in 2008. And I think it's the case, and it's not unique to the press,
Democrats eating
Americans,
themselves.
not just Democrats and not just people who voted for Barack Obama, felt actually a sense of satisfaction that the country had accomplished something by electing an African-American president.
That's all true.
So that's actually not something to deride, it's something to celebrate and not make fun of.
No, and I'm not making fun of it. But I'm noticing a trend here with the former president, Bill Clinton, who said this a number of times, that Barack Obama was an affirmative action case and benefiting from lower standards from white liberals.
Yeah, he never said that.
Well, he said that repeatedly.
No, he
said that on the campaign trail in 2008.
Absolutely did not. No,
yes, he did.
No, take South Carolina.
There.
No, he didn't say anything about affirmative action.
Yes, he's saying that
Donald
Play
Trump
it like Alex Jones would.
Bill Clinton went to Yale Law School. Barack Obama went to Harvard Law School. I love this notion that
I'm just trying to assess what the former president said. I'm not weighing in on this. I'm merely saying that here's this liberal icon saying, oh, he was a black guy. He got special treatment. I'm just wondering if you agree with that. That's all I'm asking.
No, I don't think he got special.
That's what Bill Clinton said.
What he said was that the press, and it was true for others, took a certain sense of pride in the United States having elected an African American, given the history of slavery. And he said,
God, what about the white slaves?
And as you saw in the interview, he also thought that Donald
There was
Trump's
more white slaves than there was black.
If you want to match kind of accusers versus accuser, that won't be a fair fight.
I'm just saying, look, he derides President Obama, but that's totally cool because he's a liberal. But let me ask you this. What do we know about sexual harassment that we didn't know 20 years ago when we were defending Bill Clinton up and down? Now we're deriding him. But what's changed? What have we learned? Do we know sexual harassment's wrong now? We didn't know that in 1998?
Yeah. So I will speak as somebody who was on the air talking about Bill Clinton back in 1998.
Right.
And my position from day one is I assume that Monica Lewinsky wasn't kind of somebody who was unable to think straight and that what the story was true. And yet, under the Constitution, this wasn't treason, bribery, high crimes, and misdemeanor, which incidentally, the first word treason might apply to our current president.
By the way, the Congress agreed with you.
Yes,
he was
as did the American public.
You're exactly right. He was not convicted.
Right.
But there's a much deeper question about what constitutes mistreatment of another human being.
Right.
And at the time, all of us knew because we were hearing it from them. The White House was deriding her as a stalker. And yes, they were. They told me. Sidney Blumenthal called me.
Sidney Blumenthal was kind of off.
No.
Why are we here? What is it we're seeking to achieve? We're here to break barriers because free people are capable of extraordinary things.
Let's see where this goes to.
This isn't just theory, it's history. For thousands of years, the human experience was full of misery, death, disease, abject poverty. Across the world, ruling classes controlled everyone else. They put up barriers that block progress in nearly all aspects of life. But then a series of events converged that started to liberate the masses. When Gutenberg invented the printing press in 1440, it gave people access to information and greater opportunities to think for themselves. William Tyndale translated the Bible from Latin, the language of the elites, into English. Those in power burned him at the stake for this act. But he succeeded in enabling far more people to be able to interpret religion for themselves. This created the conditions for the Reformation. New ideas began to take root.
That's wrong, though. They're at this flat. Yeah, Galileo. Yeah, they're idiots.
Which led to unprecedented scientific breakthroughs and progress for society.
No. See, that part of it was wrong.
Paved the way for the Dutch Golden Age. The Dutch created a relatively tolerant society for their time, and barriers continued to crumble. People like John Locke, Descartes, and thousands of religious refugees made it their home. Holland grew into a flourishing marketplace of ideas. In addition to scientific progress, like the invention of the microscope, economic progress was encouraged by the protection
of microscope make you only see something so small.
More people had more freedom, and for the first time ever, merchants, artisans, and working people were respected and rewarded for their work. Trade exploded, and Holland became the most prosperous country in the world. And finally, in the 18th century, the liberalism that led to Holland's wealth began to spread to other countries. In America, the ideals of a free society were reflected in the Declaration of Independence. It articulated a vision for a society where citizens would be treated equally under the law and provided the freedom to flourish.
Too bad it doesn't seem like
what ensued has been a period of unprecedented worldwide growth, known as the Great Enrichment, depicted here as a hockey stick of human progress. By some measures, Americans' standard of living has risen by close to 3,000% over the last 2 centuries alone. This shows what happens when barriers are removed. Ideas can flow, and people can have the freedom to innovate, succeed, and drive progress.
Which Donald Trump
sadly,
is doing.
Not all people have gained that freedom. Since our founding, the promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness has not been equally applied to everyone.
Oh, goodness.
African Americans and Native Americans were given no rights. Women and immigrants were only given...
Okay. All right. So, I was liking some of what they're coming across. Skip through it. No, we're going to finish watching this. You know, what is funny about what he's saying here is there was more white slaves in America than there was black slaves. And guess what? The white slaves went for about $5 to $10, and the black slaves went for about $35, $85. You want to know why? Because there was a difference. They consider the black slave was a better slave. So the black slave was more preferred. So if you spent more money on something, like let's just say you raise chickens or you raise cows, not to say that that's ever right to raise a man or a human being, but in the same aspect, if you have to pay more for one because you think it's better, you're going to take better care of that said thing. So, you know, all this stuff that comes, and like I said, that there was more white slaves than there was black slaves, and obviously, you'd imagine which ones were probably treated better, the ones that you paid more money for. You would think. I'm not saying that's always true. But there are certain truths in this reality that need to be explained and understood. And what they fail to understand is give any quarter to the reality that was really at hand. And that has all been engineered throughout the years. Now let's see what else, what other propaganda he has to say.
And partial rights. And certain religious groups were persecuted, just to name a few. Through our history, it's taken courageous individuals who built inspiring movements of millions of people to break these barriers, one by one. From the abolitionist movement, to the women's rights movement, to the civil rights movement. These movements have helped our...
Alright, so, what I'm going to go, oh, they got nice Abraham Lincoln right there. That's great. So, one thing I'm going to go into this, the only movements that they talk about is women movements and black movements. What about the white movements and what they had done? You know, the one thing that nobody ever wants to admit, when we came here, and it wasn't us first, it was the British, it was freaking, shoot, even people say the Vikings. British, French wars, this, that, the other thing. When we came here, the Indians are all fighting each other. Even in their own tribes, but for the most part, against other tribes. So when we came, they made sides with each side to get at each other. They were war-like people. I'm not saying we ever did them right or were, trust me, I think the atrocities that we did towards towards the Indians is pathetically sad. But at the same time, to put it completely all on them, because they went back and forth on each other too, and used us to go against who they didn't like, and we used them to go against who we didn't like. Not to say any of it was right or fair, but these are the things that happened. And then you have Abraham Lincoln here, and you know, this special guy, you know how many speeches that he gave? He was like, I don't care if I don't have to free any slaves, if I free some slaves, or I free all the slaves. I don't care which I have to do, which will ever win me the war is what I will do. And he even ran on, I'm not running on trying to free the slaves. Like, that's the funniest thing. Nobody wants to admit to that shit now, do they?
Country move closer to the ideals of the Declaration of Independence. But we have a ways to go. Today, our society continues to be plagued by a system of cronyism, dependency, and control. We have a two-tiered society that creates welfare for the wealthy and crushes opportunities for the disadvantaged.
I agree with that.
The barriers this system has created make it nearly impossible for many Americans to learn, contribute, and
all right. Well, now I'm being hella critical on this. This is the problem. It is controlled opposition. See, what people don't realize, what's going on with Q right now was literally going on in 2012. They were talking about how they're taking all these people down. Everything's coming out. Everybody's going to get arrested from this, that, and the other fucking thing. Never fucking happened. That's what's going on with Q right now. It's fucking sick.
See, it's the injustice of our time, and it has to stop. By partnering with an ever-growing coalition of collaborators from all walks of life, we can truly become a movement of millions that drives societal transformation. This will bring about a system of equal rights and mutual benefit, where people are motivated to help one another. This will not
I'm done with that. But yeah.
I understand what they're saying. So they were saying, they were dismissing her and the other accusers as trailer park trash. And that was cool, but now it's not. So what have we learned? That not all accusers are trailer park trash when they're accusing Democratic politicians? Like, what didn't we know then that we know now?
So I think what Sidney Blumenthal did was kind of despicable. I think most people, myself included, said what I said, which is under the Constitution, whatever he did, he shouldn't lose a job for it.
No, but that's we're not talking about impeachment, because I mean, I agree with that. I don't think that impeachment was the right remedy for that. So I'm not arguing in favor of impeachment. That debate's over. Right. What I'm arguing about are the current standards for sexual harassment. What constitutes behavior that's acceptable and what's unacceptable? And the liberals have changed their view. Conservatives haven't. They've been pretty consistent on this. They may excuse it. They defended Donald Trump. Absolutely, they defended Trump. Yeah. But I would never defend the behavior. They defended the behavior. And they stood by Clinton as he attacked this intern. And now they're like, oh, I can't believe it. It's so wrong. What do they know now that they didn't know then?
The Trump standard is who stayed with him after Access Hollywood, after he talked about grabbing women by their private parts. That's the Trump loyalist. That's who's held on a pedestal in the Trump orbit, right?
Okay,
so they are defending.
You're not answering my question, which is, did you not know that it was wrong to attack interns after you had sex with them and then denied it in the White House?
I think what Mark Stein just said was supposedly consensual. There's no dispute that it was consensual. Whether there was an imbalance of power and it was wrong for Bill Clinton to do, he actually apologized.
But and why doesn't he call her and apologize? I wonder.
It's an interesting thing. You'd have to ask him. Have other reporters ask him. What do you think? He has said over and over.
He's an awful person. Let's be honest.
Page 810 of his book, and over he has said he apologized. Donald Trump hasn't apologized to a single person. He calls them liars.
Okay, so you're against Trump. I get it.
No. But I'm just saying there's a big difference.
It's a sincere question. Why wouldn't he was asked 4 times by that NBC report? Right. 4 times, and he lied about it at first. Oh yeah, I've apologized, and then the reporter pressed and said no in person. He finally conceded, no, I haven't talked to her.
These people are idiots. There's no way they can win anything. If they do, it's all right.
Why doesn't he?
Again, you'd have to ask him.
Does it shake your faith in him as a man?
I think.
Wait, no.
Trust me.
Morons watch CNN.
The day after Donald Trump calls all 17 of his accusers. Okay, and what year do you think that's going to happen? Sorry.
That's his standard.
Yeah, how's that? We've kind of gotten a long way by 2018, haven't we?
It's actually unbelievable.
Yeah. See, do you see his voice? Guarantee he's freaking fruitcake. Guarantee. All right, people. Well, good times.